Welcome in, Sweet Tea in the SEC. Different night, same time though. Sorry for the change in the schedule. Had a scheduling conflict come up Tuesday night, so we decided to go live on Wednesday. We'll be back to our regular schedule next week. I'm your host, Chris. You can find me at CFB Talk '07. You can follow the show account at CFB underscore SZN on Twitter and YouTube. If you could go hit the like and subscribe button. I am joined as always by my co-host Adam. You can find him at CFB Guy. And and he's also got an awesome podcast you can get on Spotify. You can also get on I think now Amazon Music, Apple, and iHeartRadio. Adam,
That's correct, man. How's it going?
how's it going? What's the name of the show again? I forgot again. Weekly
The,
Walk.
right? The weekly walk on. That's right. A lot of behind the scenes things from my experiences, former colleagues and professional friends from working in college athletics for 15 years, being a former player, current players, former players will be on there sometimes as well, working on some coaches, but those are a little harder to get. So
yeah, we almost had a coach on our show one time, and scheduling was pretty hard, and getting these guys on the show.
Yeah.
Oh man. So how has your week been going, brother?
I can't complain, man. I think maybe a little bit better than yours after what you were saying when we were waiting to start the show.
Dude, for anybody that know, I said it on TikTok too. I have busted my shoulders. I don't know. I think I slept on it. I don't know. I think I have a muscle spasm. I don't. I say busted, but I've never had a muscle spasm before. And I don't know if I'm just being a wussy, but this thing hurts. This thing, like I can't. I can barely pick it up. It hurts to breathe. I'm ready to go to bed and hope in the morning that it's better. But other than that, it's been a good week. I mean, I had my dad come into town for Veterans Day. I do want to say, since we wasn't live yesterday, happy Veterans Day to everybody that has served our country. We appreciate everybody that has served our country. We also have, we have people on our show that has served our country. Coach's Corner is two military vets. So I want to thank Sean and Ronnie and for their service, my dad, and all the men and women out there that has served our country and give us the freedom to do what we're doing right now. But yeah, Florida Panhandles, roll tide. What's up, brother? Glad you're joining us tonight. But let's go ahead
that's kind of an oxymoron there, Florida Panhandlers.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you could live in Florida and be a Bama fan.
Yeah, I know, right? It's depending on where he's at, though. I do know there's parts of Florida, kind of similar to South Georgia, where it's like, because like where I'm living, we have a lot of mixture of Auburn, Bama, Florida, Florida State. You wouldn't even think we're the state of Georgia if you just based it on, all the fans of different teams in our town. So, oh man, he said he was born in Alabama, so that makes more sense. But
that's fair.
Yeah. All right, Adam. Let's go into our. So we usually recap shows. Tonight we're not going to. It's Wednesday. I think people talk enough this week already about the recap and the game. So we're going to just do a one big thing from the weekend. Adam, what was your one big thing this past weekend in SEC land?
I think it was kind of separation Saturday there a little bit in the SEC. I feel like we separated some contenders from pretenders. I think Missouri kind of got pushed out of things, and if you look at their schedule, they really don't have any signature wins over SEC teams. Ole Miss looked great. Granted, it was a Citadel, but I feel like they came out and did what they should have done. And then you have Vanderbilt, who I've been teetering on if they're a true contender or pretender, and giving up 38 points to Auburn makes me think lean a little, even though they got the W, a little bit more towards a pretender there. Again, the top teams in the SEC they face, they have not been beating. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel. Bama went out, and LSU's not having a great year. They still have a lot of talent on that team. It's team chemistry, offensive play calling. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. They took care of business, not as pretty as what some would like, but all good teams have games that are rough sometimes, and LSU is a very talented team. So, I think we kind of saw the top teams start to rise to the top and do what they needed to do.
Yeah, I would agree. I love that take on the separation. I think we're going to get even more separation this weekend, possibly. My one big thing from the weekend, and I'm going to go a little homerish.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. Is UGA finally finding its stride? I think. I know it was Mississippi State, but we talked about it on the show, or I did at least, and I talked about how Mississippi State had a lot of close losses. You barely lose to Tennessee, barely lost to Texas, barely lost to Florida, which isn't a good team. But they've had a lot of close games. They're like ball flip here and there away from being a 2-loss, 1-loss team before that game. And then, Mississippi State got the ball first, drove it down the field. So it was like, okay, here we go again. Same stuff we've been seeing for 2 years. And then it was just complete domination after that, which is, I wrote down in my notes, I don't think I've used the word domination in a Georgia game since probably.
Since they beat Kentucky?
Yeah. Since they beat Kentucky. But before that, it's probably been, we're in 25, probably in 23 is the last time I could probably say that, because most games have always been close. And I agree with the chat that Athletes Forum podcast, our buddy who said Gunner's getting better every week, just like the sweet tea I'm drinking. I love that. And
Amen.
Yeah. And he's
Keep
right
drinking
on
that sweet tea.
He is absolutely right on that. I think Gunner has gotten better and better. I think Mike Bobo's gotten better and better. I think the offensive line is starting to finally gel, which was a weakness at the beginning of the year, which we'll get into that more in our Georgia-Texas preview. But, yeah, that's kind of my one big thing from the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that score early. I didn't get to watch that game, but I saw that score early and said, here we go again. Georgia, slow start. Chris is probably freaking out.
Yep.
And then looked back a little bit later, and they had started separating real quick, and from everything I've read and seen, it looks like they just dominated that game.
Yeah, it was. And, and I was. Well, honestly, I don't know that I freak out anymore because I'm just so used to it. So when it first happened, I was just sitting there like, here we go again. And I was like, well, we're going to we'll find out. It'll be another close game.
Yeah.
And then, they just kind of just took over after that. And I thought the defense finally got some pressure. I don't know that's going to mean anything going forward. I don't think Mississippi State was particularly great on the offensive line. But it was nice for once to see some sacks, see some pressure, even if the opponent's O-line's not as strong as others. So, yeah, it was nice to see. Nice to see us run the ball well. Gunner looked good. Had a couple of little scary injuries, but from all reports, it sounded like everybody's going to be good to go. So, all right, let's get into our Sweet Tea MVP since we're not doing a big recap this weekend. I'll go first, and I'll let Adam go. My Sweet Tea MVP this week is a guy that I've kind of criticized a lot in the offseason. I didn't buy into, and man, I'm starting to really enjoy watching him play. Marcel Reed. He was 20 for 29, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 carries for 29 yards. Man, he's getting better every week. I still think he needs to improve a little bit more on the downfield accuracy, but he's improved in so many areas. And that's something, I criticized him a lot coming into this season that I thought he was going to be the reason the team was going to be held back. And quite frankly, he may be the reason they're 9-0 right now. And now we can officially, there's absolutely, we can now say there's a 0% chance of them going 8-4. So kudos to the Aggies.
That's true. And they still got a tough one ahead of them. The way that Texas is playing tougher and tougher every week, I'm curious. or not, maybe not curious. I'm excited. You know, Texas has a big game this weekend, but I'm really excited for that Texas A&M matchup at the end of the season. I think that's going to be a great matchup. I was looking at that 3-4 weeks ago, thinking, they got nothing, nothing stopping them there, because I wasn't expecting much from Texas. But they got a speed bump, and then I don't even know if that's considered a speed bump with South Carolina and then Samford. They're not going to give up a fight. But that Texas game's got a lot more meaning now than what I thought it was going to earlier in the year.
Yeah, definitely. I cannot wait for that game. I'm not a big fan of realignment. We don't talk that on that show. Not going to now, but to make my case, the only thing I am so happy about with realignment is we got Texas and Texas A&M back, which we should have never lost. But I'm so glad that game's back. Who's your MVP, Adam?
Man, I was really torn between two of them, so I'm gonna go Sweet Tea MVPs here. Diego Pavia, 25 for 33, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then rushed for 112 yards and a touchdown in their win. And then the UK defense, second win in a row. I'm being a homer on this one too, but I get Florida's offense isn't that great, but they held Florida to only 7 points, only 247 total yards, and they forced 4 turnovers. So a team that I thought was left for dead in Kentucky has now won 2 in a row and completely dominated a Florida team that, granted, their head coach has been fired. A lot of people were predicting them to be a outside chance at the college football playoff for winning the SEC, and they dominated that team. Florida does have talent; they're just not putting it together for one reason or the other, and they probably have more talent than Kentucky. So, and as Athletes Forum podcast is pointing out, Stoops, his last 5 games, has been owning the Gators. So it took a while for him to get there against Florida, but he has gotten there, and hopefully he can get there against some other teams, assuming that they keep him at the end of the year.
Yeah, I know we'll get to the mini preview of the Kentucky, or not the Kentucky game this week. I think Kentucky plays a cupcake this weekend, don't they?
They play Tennessee Tech, who is FBS or FCS, but also 10-0 FCS. So
I saw that when I was up.
We'll see.
We'll see. Hey, they're fighting for bowl eligibility, man.
They are.
If you would have told me before the season, because I projected Kentucky to finish dead last, I thought it was between them and I can't remember who else it was, but Kentucky was, I think, my dead last team, and they made it. They're what, 2 wins away from bowl eligibility, which I think that would require them beating Louisville, though.
Yeah, they would have to beat Louisville. They have what they have left. They have Louisville, Tennessee Tech, and Vanderbilt.
Oh,
so we'll see if they can bottle up Pavia there. Their defense has been the strength of the team. They're starting to, as Coach Stoops said, they're starting to have hope with the quarterback change, and I think there's been some improvements, I think, with that quarterback change. So I don't know. It might be too little too late for a bowl game this year, but I think it might save Stoops' job, maybe. Plus the buyout's so big, Kentucky doesn't want to pay that. It's LSU size buyouts, what I'm hearing.
Is the new quarterback's not getting on Snapchat and making it rain, is he?
No, I have not seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't seen the
No, I know. I saw
You saw that video?
Yeah, I saw him do it. Bully has not done that yet.
Okay, good. I did see somebody mention he apparently did that as a celebration after a touchdown.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen Cutler Bully doing that yet. So
yeah, that was I don't know. I have some opinions on that. For one, well, he shouldn't have done it. It was stupid. But I heard the interview of the grown ass adult that apparently trolled him into doing this, and I don't know who I was more embarrassed about, the grown man that trolled a college kid into doing something stupid on Snapchat, or the college kid that did something stupid on Snapchat.
He's also a seventh-year senior. I don't know if you can call him a college kid anymore.
That's true. That's true. He's a grown ass man too. So that is true. I don't know. I thought it was an embarrassed moment for both parties, to be honest with you.
I would agree with that 100%.
Even more embarrassing that he got on the radio and kind of flaunted about it. And I'm talking about the guy that trolled him. And it was one of those. You know how you ever get like a secondhand embarrassment? Like I was listening to the interview and I was just cringing. I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. But anyway. Either way, college football always delivers. It never fails, and that's what makes it fun. To me, more fun in the NFL because you don't get this in the NFL. All right, we're going to go really deep on 2 games, and then we'll do some talk on some small ones or so the other SEC games. Alabama, Oklahoma. I think last I checked, at least Sunday, Alabama was a 6.5-point favorite. I don't know if the lines fell any at all. I was really surprised that line.
5.5 Bama, according to ESPN.
All right, so it's dropped. It's dropped. Sunday FanDuel had it at 6.5. So, and I think I thought I heard it did drop. So 5.5. Man, it's a really fascinating game to me. The biggest story to me is can the Bama pass game kind of get back on track? Austin, who's our other co-host, talked about this Sunday. And he's a Bama fan, so he's real in tune when he's watching the Bama games. He had talked about how he felt like the last 2 games has kind of been, kind of average, which is what's been their strength, particularly since they do not run the ball really well. And I went and looked it up, and he was right, at least statistically. Last 2 games, LSU, South Carolina, Todd Simpson was 61%, which isn't, it isn't horrible. It isn't good. 288 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. South Carolina, he was 55%, almost 56. 253, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And when I did watch that LSU game, it did feel like the pass game was kind of lacking a little bit. And I don't know if you heard my daughter just say 6'7" when I said 6. Good Lord. But yeah, I think that to me is I'm curious to see if Bama can get back on track because this is a Oklahoma secondary that is the D line's great. The secondary is not though. Against Tennessee, they allowed almost 400 yards passing, and Ole Miss they allowed 315. So I to me that's going to be really fascinating to see that. Also, like Adam, I looked this up. Bama versus mobile quarterbacks though. That's interesting to me too because Mateer, while he's not the greatest at passing right now, he is a very mobile quarterback. His legs can hurt you. But one of the interesting stats that I had looked up, Bama versus mobile quarterbacks, read options or design runs. They're 101st in yards per carry when it's a read option or designed run by the quarterback.
I feel like Bama has good enough DBs that they can stack the box, take a lot of chance on man-to-man coverage, spy Mateer, and make him one-dimensional and take his legs out of the game. And that's I feel like that's how they're going to have to what they're going to have to do to win the game. And I feel that they're going to be pretty successful doing it, to be honest. Mateer's legs are what makes that offense work, run, if you will, pun intended. And I feel like Bama will be able to shut that down, and I don't think their offense, the Oklahoma offense, is going to be good enough to score enough points to keep up with Alabama's offense.
Yeah, Athletes Forum podcast, Bama versus mobile quarterbacks has been a thing since the Saban era, which is weird. They struggle versus those guys. That is true. That's kind of been
That's very true.
That's and to be honest, that's carried over. You look at Kirby Smart's history at UGA. He's struggled. I think it's a Saban defense type thing. They do tend to struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Now, you could counter that and say everybody kind of struggles with mobile quarterbacks. They're not easy to defend. But, yeah, I think that was fascinating. I also think, the biggest question on Alabama's offense other than can the pass game go back to working, it's been on like a 2-game skid. I think we already know, look, at this point, we got like 3 weeks left, maybe 2 weeks in the season left. There's no point in asking can they run the ball. They can't. Like they can't. Period. They haven't been able to for 12 weeks straight. It's not going to magically change. So I don't even think they're going to attempt to, really try to get anything going there. But can that passing game stay ahead of the chains to not force them in 3rd and longs? Because Brent Venables, as we all know, watching Brent Venables over the years, he will absolutely bring the house on some 3rd and longs. So that's another thing I'm curious about. I don't know, Adam. I went into this Sunday. I kind of already had my mind made up. I was going to go Oklahoma. I was going to call it. I was like, my thought all year was Georgia and Bama would eventually lose one more probably. I got to driving today at work. I went back to work today, and I thought about it a lot. I think Bama's going to win, and they're going to cover.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
I don't see it being all that close, to be really honest. I really don't.
I'm starting to lean that way too because I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, I'm going to go Alabama. I think Adam's obviously going Alabama. We're both going to pick them to cover, so we don't think it's going to be particularly close. So all right, let's go UGA, Texas. Another fascinating line. I think this one dropped too, but I know at FanDuel it opened Sunday at 6.5. I think it did drop to 5.5 also. Man, this is a massive game. Massive game. 7:30. There's been a lot of talk about, Texas the offense has looked a lot better here lately. And I've noticed, at least with my eyes, it does seem like Texas is or Sarkisian has kind of gone back to that, Quinn offense where it's like screens and short passes. And then when I went and looked it up, the last 4 weeks, Sark has been calling screens at a 27% clip, which is pretty high. So it's a lot of side by side now. It feels like they're really helping Arch out more than than they were at the beginning of the season, where it kind of seemed like they were forcing things. But it's a very conservative offense now. It's a very side to side. It's kind of back to what they were doing last year. And I wonder, because one of the weaknesses on Georgia is their secondary. Their secondary's kind of been lit up a lot this year. But if it's a bunch of side-to-side passes, I found this interesting when I went and looked up UGA stuff. Their missed tackle rate is 12th in the country at 5%. So they don't miss tackles. So one good thing they do on defense right now is they don't miss tackles. And when Texas is going like side-to-side, I don't know that we got to worry too much about Georgia's secondary getting gashed if it's going to be a lot of the side-by-side short, underneath passes with the way Georgia tackles. And I do think that could be something that hurts them. On the Georgia side of things, can their offensive line stay?
Chris, I think you paused yourself.
Did I pause myself?
Or muted yourself, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? What about now? If y'all can hear me on the chat,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What about now? Uh-oh. Might have some technical difficulties. If you can hear me on YouTube, please let me know so we'll know if it's me or Adam. Can you hear me now? All right, we're going to get Adam on the...
Athletes Forum podcast just said he can hear us both. I don't know why I can't hear you, but it's all good.
All right, so, well, I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll keep doing it. All right, yeah, I guess maybe Adam will figure that out while I keep talking. Athletes Forum podcast, we appreciate your help. Sorry for everybody that's watching technical difficulties right now. We'll see if Adam can get me back in a minute. The question on the Georgia side of things is, can UGA stay the course? O-line, stay the course.
I'll be right back since I can't hear you.
All right, sounds good. All right, we'll get Adam back here in a minute. Sorry about that technical difficulties, guys. So can UGA's O-line stay the course? Start of the year, it was pretty bad. A lot of injuries, a lot of shuffling. But the last couple of weeks, this offensive line has really started to gel and really starting to get a lot better. And I think that's due to, the fact that they've got some players back. They also got, I think they've got the perfect lineup now back. So I'm curious to see against this D line how good can the offense keep progressing, because this is a Texas defensive line that is really, really good. I think we all know that. I don't have to pull up any stats, to show that. If Texas has to split Athletes Forum podcast, if Texas has to split UGA and Texas A&M, it's better to get the first one versus the later one. Becomes a must win for Texas, in my opinion. Yeah, and speaking, I'm gonna take my college football hat off and just put my Georgia hat on. That's one of the biggest worries, coming off a bye week. To me, this is a must win, because then you can, you could have that UGA win on your resume, and you can then let's see if we can get Adam back. Can you hear me, Adam?
I got you.
You got me.
I don't have a mic though, or a camera though. Oh, there we go.
There we go. You're back. Hey, technology, right? It's fun when this kind of stuff happens. You still hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. So I was pretty much talking about the offensive line, how Georgia's offensive line's gotten a lot better, and I'm really curious to see how it matches up with Texas's D line this weekend. And I think that's obviously I think right now that would be a strength versus strength. Texas's D line versus Georgia's O line. What's your thought process on this game, Adam?
I think you touched on it earlier that those screen passes are really helping Arch. They're getting the ball out of his hands quickly. It takes a lot of pressure off of him to where he doesn't have to do so much, because I feel like, one, he wasn't getting a lot of protection. He was under pressure a lot early in the year, and his receivers weren't winning many matchups, so they weren't finding the soft spots in the zone, something. And when they did, he just seemed anxious because he was under pressure so much. So the quick passing routes, the screens, the getting the ball out of his hands quick, I think are helping. And they've also had a little bit of rushing game the last few games, and that's helping too. That he's no longer been the leading rusher the last few weeks, and that's made a big difference too. So, I still, it's hard for me to pick against. It's hard for me to pick against Kirby. Right now he's the best coach in college football, and it seems like Georgia's starting to put it together as well. Mm-hmm. And I think I lean Georgia in this game a little bit, just because they have the advantage in the coaching. I think on the field they're pretty evenly matched. I feel like there's more question marks with Texas though.
Yeah, and just to illustrate the difference in the last four games and the first four games pre-Oklahoma, I thought Brent Rollins over at UGA Sports, who also works at PFF, showed something here. Average depth of target the first 5 games, which is how far the ball travels through the air. It was 11.9 yards in the first 5 games pre-Oklahoma. Air yardage 57%. Last 4 games, Oklahoma, and now his average depth of target was 7.6 yards. Massive drop in average depth of target. Air yardage is 35.1%. So you're starting to see a tick down. And like we said, that kind of just illustrates how much they're leaning back on the screen game. And I don't know if that's going to be successful against Georgia. I think if this team was really explosive on the in the air, I would be a lot more scared. I also have this other thing I wanted to show real quick, that while I look it up, Adam, what was one thing that James Franklin was famously known for?
Not winning the big game, not beating the top-ranked teams.
This is Sarkisian's record against top 10 AP final ranking teams. He is 2-11 since his time at Texas. Since James Franklin's fired, we got to move on and talk somebody else that can't win the big game. And it looks like Sarkisian. I mean, I started to put this on people's radars last year about his inability to win the big games because he lost to Georgia twice. He lost to Ohio State. And his only top 10 win was Arizona State, who it took like a last second, I think it went to overtime, pass to beat the Arizona State team that they were heavily over, they were way more talented then. So I ain't gonna lie. I have all the stats. I have all that. That right there is probably the reason I'm just gonna go Georgia because I just don't trust Sarkisian in a big game. I haven't seen it from him. This is a large sample size. I mean, it's from 2021.
What's
yeah.
Kirby's numbers in top 10? Obviously, they're better than that because I would guess he's probably slightly above 500, but winning a couple national championships means that he's going to be better than that, obviously.
If I remember right, somebody did have that out there. I know it's a winning record. I don't know. I can't remember how much, though.
I feel like even the best coaches – you're going to have some outliers, but even the best coaches over time are usually around a 58 to 62% winning percentage, winning just under 2/3 of them because you're playing top 10 teams, you're playing quality opponents. And I feel now that's not good for Sark, but nobody is going to go out and win 90% of their games against top 10 teams either. So I'm just curious how it compares. Just off the top of my head, I want to say I saw Ryan Days, and when James Franklin was being hired, they showed Ryan Days and Kirby Smarts, and they were both somewhere around that 60% range. But I don't remember well enough to really stand on if that was true or not. So
somebody had it on Twitter, and I think I know who it is.
And while you look that up, I agree with Athletes Forum podcast. I think this is a must-win game for Texas because then they get in a tough spot where if they lose to A&M, they're definitely out. And if they have 3 losses, granted, 2 of them would be to Ohio State, Texas A&M, or Georgia. Those are 2 top 5 teams you're losing to. It depends. You're putting your destiny in other people's hands then on what other teams do. So 3-loss team is not guaranteed to get in. A 2-loss Texas team is going to get in.
Yeah. Let's see. Nope, I can't find it. Anyway, I'll look it up and we'll post it on Twitter. But yeah, I do. I think he does have a winning. I know it's a winning record. I just don't know how much. But yeah, I agree with you. And like you said, I do think it's a must win. As a Georgia fan, that's probably what makes me the most nervous coming off a bye week. Must win. But I think the determining factors for me was also not just the Sarkisian in big games, but also the fact that it's at home. I think if I remember correctly, there's a statistic out there. A lot of the home teams are winning these big games. It's extremely hard to win on the road. It's extremely hard to win at night on the road. And Athens is a place, I think, other than the Bama loss, I think they were like 45-0 or something, or 45 and something, or it was some kind of ridiculous record at home. Georgia typically does not lose at home a lot. And I'll be honest, the last 2 games they played, Georgia was also just a more physical team. As physical as Texas looks, in most games. But when they played Georgia last year for 2 times, you could just tell Georgia was the more physical team, in my opinion. So I that's just where I'm at. I do also think the secondary for Texas, as good as his defense is, I think the secondary is gettable too because Vandy had 365 yards passing, Mississippi State 382, Kentucky had 258, and Florida had almost 300. So I think you can get the secondary. Now the question is, can you get this secondary without getting pressured a lot? Because Texas is one of the best teams at getting pressure on the quarterback. So Georgia's offensive line's got its work cut out for him. I'm going to take Georgia, though. I do think Texas covers. I think it'll be a classic SEC matchup.
I also think Texas does pressure the quarterback some, but Gunnar Stockton's legs get him out of trouble a lot. I feel like he's a little underrated as a scrambler and he's more mobile than what he's given credit for sometimes too, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Who you going with?
Georgia.
Think they cover? You think Texas?
if I knew if they would cover or not, I'd be putting a lot of money on it. I really, I have no idea. 5.5 points isn't a lot of points. If I was a betting man, I would say that they would cover.
Sweet.
I would not put money on this game one way or the other, though.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't, and I don't bet, and we're not a betting show, so I probably shouldn't ask that. But I don't bet. I never bet. All right, Lane Kiffin Bowl. I mean, Ole Miss versus Florida. Ole Miss 13.5. Yeah, I've dubbed this the Lane Kiffin Bowl, man. We ain't got to go too deep, but I'll be honest, Adam. I think this Florida team has quit. I think
that was going to be exactly what I said. Watching them in the Kentucky game last week was the first thing that came to mind was the Florida's quit.
Yeah, I think after that Georgia loss, I think that did them in. I think they went all in on that game, and they played great in that game. Almost got the win. But yeah, I think we're on quit. I think this team has officially quit. I think there's going to be probably, unfortunately, some opt-outs, probably some kids missing from the lineups. I think some hammies are going to be pulled, and a lot of visits to the training room. I think we're going to see some. Yeah, I think this team's quit. Unfortunately, and I think Lane Kiffin's probably going to give him everything he's got. I think Ole Miss wins this big.
I think so too, and I'm shocked about how bad Lagwise look. I think I've brought this up almost every week. The quarterbacks that we expected big things from in the SEC, Arch Manning, although we talked, he's starting to play a little bit better. Sellers at South Carolina, Lagway at Florida, Nussmeier at LSU. None of them have performed the way we thought. I thought Nussmeier was going to be a top 3 Heisman Trophy candidate. I thought Sellers would probably be top 7, 8 to 10, somewhere in that range of getting votes, not going to New York, but getting enough votes, and none of them have. And Lagway got benched last week, and there's times he looks lost, and I don't think he's getting a lot of help, so I don't think it's all on him. Mm-hmm. But he's getting pressured. His receivers aren't winning battles. He's getting hit a lot. So it's not all on him, but for how highly touted he was and how high everybody else was on, I never really saw it, but I'm not the best quarterback evaluator. So, I just, okay, it's just something that I'm not seeing because, I'm just not seeing it. And
yeah,
I'm just, my mind is blown on where he is with the hype. And I haven't looked to see if he's starting this week, but
yeah,
I think the backup slipped my mind.
I can't remember his name.
Tramwell Jones. Jones does run a little bit better, so I'm curious if they're going to stick with him a little bit more. The fact that he uses his legs better, he's got. It looked like in the Kentucky game he's got a cannon for an arm. So we'll see where they even go. Maybe they come with the platoon system and go to the back in the Spurrier days of every play they change quarterbacks. I don't know. I don't see this game being close, and I think Kiffin's going to just put the hammer down too, and either make his case for Florida, you should come get me, and try to get a bigger raise or more money from Florida, whatever the case is going to be. I think that's what it's going to be. I think he's going to enjoy running the score up on him.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think yeah, definitely. I think he's gonna want to run up the score on them. LSU 5.5, Arkansas. I'm not ready to declare quit, but this team to me is on quit watch. I think
Arkansas or LSU?
LSU, no, Arkansas. Well, no, they're still Arkansas still playing.
They both have interim coaches,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, I think LSU. I think they're on quit watch. I think this is the week. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm calling Arkansas an upset. I think LSU is going to quit this week. I think after the Bama game, similar to Florida, Georgia, Georgia, Florida. Never say Florida, Georgia. That's bad. Uh, but yeah, I think I don't know, man. I think LSU's. We're gonna watch this game, and we're gonna be midway through the game, and we're gonna get on Twitter, and we're gonna talk about LSU has officially quit. I know Arkansas's defense is not good, but I don't think LSU's offense could run on a Pee Wee football team or have a good offensive showing against a Pee Wee football team. So I think Arkansas is going to win an upset. I really do.
I'm on the fence on this, but I am leaning slightly LSU. I'm wondering, I feel like they got maybe a little bit of a spark with Pola Nussmeier last week. You don't know exactly what you're going to get if they do come out and Van Buren starts the game. You don't know exactly what you're going to get because there's not a lot of film on him. And I think there might be enough wrinkles. I think the wrinkle, I don't know. The two better sides of the ball are going against each other with LSU's defense and Arkansas's offense. And I think LSU might have just enough tricks in the bag that they're going to score a few more points. I think LSU's defense will come and play, and because they're playing for pride right now, they still can make a bowl game. They still are playing for draft positions, for NIL money at different schools if they transfer out. And Arkansas is not playing for that. So at least the bowl game aspect. So I think you're going to see LSU dig deep and show some pride and try to get to that bowl game. And, this is it's a trophy game. So I think there's going to be a little bit more care from both teams than what you might see normally from a 2-7 team that's with an interim coach and a disappointing team that's now 5-4 on an interim coach. And I like LSU. I don't know why. I have no analytics or stats or anything to back it up. What my eyes have told me on the field, I think LSU just has more talent, and I think they're going to start rallying around wanting to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, and it'd be curious to see who starts at quarterback. I haven't heard, but Nuss was also benched, just like Lagway was.
Yeah. That's I think you might see a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a spark out of their backup.
Van Braun,
Van Buren.
Van Buren, that's it.
Van Buren, yeah. I think you might see a little spark out of him, and it's going to be something different that they're throwing at him.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree on the spark with him. I am going to go the Arkansas thing. I do think Bobby Petrino, he's gotten close with a couple of these games. I think it was the A&M game. They got pretty close. And it was, I think, maybe the Tennessee game at one point. I don't think it ended close, but at one point it was. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they're due one. And I just think with this team, being on what I deemed quit watch, I think Arkansas may can get them. And all right, let's go. Texas A&M 19.5 favorites over South Carolina. South Carolina needs this win for bowl eligibility, or not bowl eligibility, but to keep the ability to get to a bowl game. But I'll be honest, I wrote in my notes, I do not know if this is going to happen. LOL.
A&M. I mean, there's nothing else to say. A&M.
Nothing.
I could see this being a higher scoring game because A&M doesn't have the best defense, but A&M's going to win. I don't see it being very close. I could see something like a 45-21 game, something like that. Yeah, I think both teams will score some points.
Yeah, it'll be I probably won't watch much of that game, I'll be honest, unless I get an update from my bud Austin or Adam with eyeball emojis telling me I need to watch it. But yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate it. I don't think there's give us your Kentucky minute. Give us your Kentucky minute for against the I think it's an FCS team, Tennessee Tech.
I don't know anything about Tennessee Tech except that they're undefeated. I looked up a little bit, and I don't know what to say other than they're starting to play a little bit better. I'm hoping their defense has played well all year. Their defense played well enough to win Texas game and a couple other games that they lost because their offense was so bad. So I'm hopeful they're starting to find something on offense. I'm also worried that there's going to be a letdown. Playing an FCS team after beating Florida, which Kentucky-Florida is not really a rivalry, but Kentucky got smacked around by Florida for so long. Even when Florida is not very good, it's a huge deal to Kentucky when they beat them. So I'm hoping there's not a hangover from a big win in the eyes of the Kentucky team and Wildcat Nation there. And I'm concerned there might be a letdown.
Yeah, that would be a big bummer considering how the last few weeks have gone. But yeah, my favorite time of the show, I get to shut up and I do a lot of the hosting on so many of our shows, so I get to sit back and play on my phone while Adam does his shirt stuff and does his outro. So Adam, take it away, brother.
So this week I got Central Michigan. Went to grad school there, 2006, 2007, which were 2 years that CMU won the MAC championships with Brian Kelly as coach in 06. 07 was Butch Jones, and they were also national champs at the Division II level. In 1974, they had a 12-1 record. They beat Delaware in the national championship game 54-14. For those of you that don't know or new to the show, I wear a different higher education shirt every single show. I don't care if they have athletics or not. I don't care if it's a cosmetology school, a tech school, whatever. I'm going to wear a different higher education shirt or pull over something every single show. If I get caught repeating within 48 hours of our show ending and you contact me on Twitter, I'll send you one of my podcast shirts. So anybody that wants to see their school on here, send me a shirt that you're going to send to Goodwill. I will make it fit somehow if I need to cut a V-neck into it or cut the sleeves off, whatever. And then I'll take it to Goodwill for you. And also just check back because I got plenty of colleagues around the country at different universities that have given me shirts over the years or I've gotten a couple sent to me. So keep your eyes out for, you might see your school. Just kind of a fun thing to interact with the followers and the people that watch the show more. And again, you can reach out to me if there's a duplicate on Twitter. It's CFB Guy. Our Instagram for this show is sweet_tea_SEC. Sweet tea is all one words with 2 T's _SEC. Give us a follow there. As Chris always says, give us a follow and subscribe on the YouTube show. And Chris, been a pleasure, man. This is a good show. I'm glad we were able to make it work with the scheduling conflicts, and hope you have a great weekend watching college football, man. Keep sipping that sweet tea and watching the SEC.
Peace.